Hi guys. So the problem with Midsummer Chaos is not just a problem with a web series. It is a problem at the very heart of Pakistani society, and we see it everywhere around us. We see it in the housing societies that are built by destroying the houses of poor people who have lived on their ancestral lands for decades. Right? We see it in the colossal mansions in drama serials on TV. Right? We see it when Fahad Mustafa is giving away Umrah tickets and washing machines like they're nothing. So the elitist capture of state resources and state mentality is a huge problem. And it's a pity that a new generation of Pakistanis are making the same mistakes as older ones. Now, I've been following Midsummer Chaos for some time. Right. Initially, I thought this was just another side hustle of some, high schoolers and junior college students. I didn't pay too much heed to it. But when Dawn News covered Midsummer Chaos, I think sometime earlier this year, I was hooked. I felt like that was a huge thing. Dawn is a national newspaper, is the newspaper that defines Pakistani discourse, and that Midsummer Chaos got respected coverage from Dawn was big, and I was impressed. And then what they went out and did was that they delayed Midsummer Chaos. They were like, no, we're going to delay the show and we're going to reshoot it. So I lost a lot of confidence in this project then. But Dawn covered them again, this time over, when they were finally ready to release their series. And I thought, all right, we're getting it finally, so this could be good. But it wasn't. Right? The discourse that I've been following, like myself, most people are not impressed. Like, I think no one is impressed by the content that they have created. And it's a pity, right? It's a pity because this could have been so interesting, right? If they had talked about the various tiers of students in Pakistan, right? So we have top students who are planning to go to the US, right? And now that's a very peculiar admissions process, and people are giving the ACT or the SAT, and they're giving the IELTS or stuff, something like that. I think that could have been a very legitimate storyline, or you could have talked about the slightly less brilliant students who are struggling with like going to places like Europe or Australia. Or you could also have talked about kids who want to go into the armed forces and what that looks like and how it's panning out for them, and how these individuals are dealing with society's expectations of them and how it's affecting them. But they didn't do that, right? What they gave us was a pseudo-American ripoff. And honestly, I don't even think this is how elite kids in Pakistan, right? I study with a lot of kids from rich families, and there are certain ways that you could have portrayed them, right? There's a landed class; those people have money, right? There are the children of officers, right? There's a lot of stuff that could have come out of that. The sort of characters that they have portrayed, people who are like, I don't know, drinking alcohol and that sort of thing, I really don't think that's how elite kids in Pakistan behave. This is just a very unrealistic depiction of elite life in Pakistan. So it's just like, I feel like they have just sort of taken Riverdale and they've put Pakistani skins on Riverdale's actors, and they're like, bam, here you have Midsummer Chaos. A huge problem with this web series is with the plot devices and how they're carrying forward the story, right? So plot devices are means for a story to reach a climax, and then that climax to reach a resolution. I feel like the climax of the first episode was very lacking. Basically, what happened was that so I'm going to use the real names, right? Because we all know these people, and their screen names are just very they're not memorable at all. So Hushal meets Zainab, and they start talking, and then Zainab dares him to toss him into the pool, right? And he does that. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with that Zainab's boyfriend should get angry about, because that's what she dared him to do, right? She wanted it, and he did just that. And then while Zainab's friend and Khushhal are arguing, Mustafa Babar gets into the argument, and then the sort of focus shifts to Mustafa Babar and Khushhal, and it's just very weird. Like it didn't make sense. The climax of this episode, and the only way that the climax was brought to the fore was through the use of alcohol. So that's a very Riverdale sort of trope, a very American sort of trope that someone gets drunk and then they reveal all the deepest, darkest secrets in their heart. So it was not too believable. There's also a problem with the casting. I was not really impressed. So Khushal Khan, who plays Samir, impressed some people. And I do think that generally his acting was stable. But during the scenes when he was supposed to portray rage, I think those are really lacking. He just couldn't pull them off. So there was a limit to the expression that he could muster. So coming to Mustafa Babar, I think he's not a good actor. He has just one expression. It's a constipated look. He gives it when he's happy. He gives it when he's sad, and he gives it for everything in between. All right, it's just that same pain, sort of like constipated expression that he gives. Hiba was not memorable. Like he was just there to, I don't know, create a sort of side story to create more depth and side story to the main sort of conflict in the episode. I felt Mamia did a good job. I felt like she was passable as an actor, and I think she did a good job of playing the cool girl. But I think the problem is actually within the design of the character herself, because the character, like, she attaches so much. She becomes so emotionally attached to Mustafa Babar in such a short time that it's completely unbelievable. So that just sort of put me off, and I felt the character was not created with a lot of depth and with a lot of intuition. It just felt forced to me. But my harshest criticism is reserved for Zainab Ijaz. Oh my God, it was very bad. I felt she was probably the weakest actor of the lot, and she should definitely have been recast. Anyways, the dialogue is also very lackluster. So, especially when Zainab says to Hushal that when they meet each other and she says, "Oh, we haven't met since we broke up." Like, no one starts a conversation like that. Who do you know who starts a conversation like that? That's not stuff that you bring out after it has happened. Right? No one talks about such stuff. You're not proud of these things, right? And especially if these kids were just done with their O levels, then obviously that's a very sort of formative time for people. So any trauma that you face in that particular time in your life, it stays with you for life. So you're not so chill that you meet someone and you're like, "Hey, oh my God, I haven't seen you since we broke up." That is so bad. I mean, oh my God. Similarly, like, they're trying to portray Meher Bano. They got their hands on her, and they're trying to portray her as some wizened old sage, but it just looks bad, and it looks very bad. She says a lot of cringy stuff like "Har rishte ko zawal hai Haris," and it just puts me off. It's so bad. And honestly, I think the show just did a huge disservice to itself, right? When I read about it in Dawn, there were some words that stuck out to me, right? So one word was shenanigans, right? Another word was summer after high school. The connotations of both these words are positive, right? Shenanigans, summer after high. This is supposed to be an exciting and fun time, and that is honestly what I was expecting. Kids were just coming together for one last hurrah before they get on with life and the next stage of their studies or professional life or whatever they want to pursue, right? This was supposed to be a light-hearted rom-com. And like this was the segment that they were targeting, right? People who are adolescent, people who are teenagers, but they have not done that. They have just made teen actors behave like old people, and they're going to introduce more like social themes in the future, like transgenders and that sort of thing. I just don't think that is the sort of stuff that would attract an adolescent audience. I felt that the show takes itself too seriously. But yeah, I have to give a shout out to that a dad to Harris's dad in the web series. I think that guy did a good job. He had like 3 lines or something, but I felt like he was a good actor, and oh my god, he's just so buff. So I felt like he did a good job. Yeah. So guys, final words. This isn't a good show, not at all. But watch it. The first episode is just 15 minutes long or so, and watch it and see how warped the perspective of some people in our country is on life, right? See it and realize just how disparate the worlds in which we live are. So that's all from my side for today. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time.